Hello YouTube, it's Borders Dude, and yes, I'm back with a video review taking a look at a slightly older bot. In this week's video, taking a look at the Speed on Velocitron series version of Override from Transformers Cybertron. Starting off with Cybertron Override's alt mode, and this is that futuristic Cybertron car, and it's a sports car to boot. The first thing that strikes me about this figure in this mode is those wheels. Those clear plastic wheels are so very unique in modern day Transformers. While they were a staple of figures from that era, this is something that I think is sorely missing now within the Generations line, and indeed Transformers as a whole. I love the red clear plastic, the gold hubcaps, as well as a nice touch, and the push pins on this figure takes away those horrible plasticky tab-in wheels that we are unfortunately so used to seeing. The design is very Gotham, very Batman-esque, especially at the front of the vehicle, and I for one welcome this. There's a little bit of detail going on, and some of that will translate into the robot mode, because the majority of this figure, at least at the front, is the legs, which again will show in the robot mode itself. I love the weapon storage on the back, how that becomes essentially the engine for this alt mode, and even though there is visible head syndrome, it definitely works for this character, because this isn't meant to be a robot in disguise. This is a futuristic Cybertron racer, so why wouldn't you have a little bit of the head sticking out on the figure? And of course, for those people interested, it rolls rather nicely. Time for a couple of size comparisons in alt mode, and we'll start off with the original Cybertronian racer. Yes, it is Studio Series 86 Blur, and I think they scale very well, and you could see them racing across Cybertron in that Velocitron speed track. And for a fellow Unicron trilogy cohort, here she is with Hotshot. They scale very well together, and even that's given Hotshot is one of those more traditional looking alt modes. Time to take a look at Override's robot mode after that wonderful transformation. A bit tricky in bits, likely due to me not transforming this figure in a long time, but once I got past that it was fun, and it's definitely the epitome of a desk bot, so it will allow you to flip this figure back and forward with ease. The only thing to be mindful of is the wheels that are housed in the chest/shoulder area of the figure. They do pop off quite easily if pushed in the wrong direction, but do pop in without any fuss, but something to be aware of. Now, the first thing that strikes me in this robot mode is that face sculpt. It is absolutely delightful. I love the way the gold paint has been put on the face with the blue eyes. It really makes it stand out on the shelf, along with the helmet/head crest. It's really wonderfully designed. There is a lot of detail going on the figure sculpting, but because the majority of it is white, you do struggle to see it in the filming light, I guess. But on places such as the shoulder pads and the arms with the gold and black mixing together, that brings out that detail, and it really is a nice touch. The figure silhouette is very clean, even flipping the figure around the back. Very little kibble, very nice, and when you do turn it around you can see that there was clear plastic used for the back of the head, which would have had light piping if the blue eyes were not painted on. But I definitely prefer the fact this figure does have blue eyes as opposed to having that red light piping. Some people like light piping, some don't. I sort of sit in the middle, but for me, I prefer the blue eyes on this figure. It's time to take a look at the articulation on Override now. We'll start with the head, which can do a full 360, no problem at all. The arm can do a full 360 with an outward motion. You do get a bicep swivel, a single bend at the elbow, and you also get a wrist swivel due to transformation. There is a waist swivel that is hampered by the backpack. When it comes to legs, you get the full extension out the front, but at the back, again hampered by the backpack. High bend at the knee, and you do get a limited ankle tilt on the foot. So the articulation is a bit more limited than other figures in the Generation series, but there is definitely more than enough here for your figure photography needs. The sole accessory that Override comes with is the engine block, done in a matte black plastic with some white and red paint accents, and this of course turns into the blaster for the figure, and you can adjust the hinges up the top so you have the blaster looking like this, and it just simply plugs in to the arm, to the fist. No problem at all, and there we are. There is the one accessory that you do get with Override, and to be honest, I think that's more than enough for a figure of this size class. How does Override stand with the rest of the figures in robot mode? So let's once again bring in Studio Series Blur, the original Cybertronian Speedster, and I do think they scale okay. Maybe Override's a bit bigger than Blur. Whether that's right or not, I'll let you decide. And we'll once again bring in another Unicron Trilogy figure. I say another, exactly the same figure as we used in alt mode comparison. It is, of course, Armada Hotshot. And I suppose these figures scale better together, being in the same universe, than the 86 movie Blur, whose chest is mistransformed. My final thought on Speedon Velocitron Override. I don't have any attachment to this character, or indeed any figures really from the Unicron trilogy. I have a few choice favourites, but that's purely because of the design, and on that basis this is a figure that I absolutely enjoy. I love the colour scheme, I love the design, that futuristic looking Cybertronian car mode, and of course the little touches like bringing back those clear plastic wheels that the original toys had was a nice touch, and something I wish that Hasbro would incorporate more into other figures regardless of whether they had clear plastic wheels or not. It just gives those figures a bit of a unique flavour. There's a decent amount of range of articulation in the figure, enough for figure photography, hampered in some areas because of that black backpack, but nothing really concerning. Transformation is fine, it's absolutely fun, again the epitome of a desk bot. And as you can gather, this is definitely a figure that I would recommend you have in your collection, regardless of whether you have an affinity for the Cybertron series or Galaxy Force series at all. Thank you so much for watching this video. Is this a figure that you picked up, or a figure that you might be looking to pick up now on the secondary market? Let me know in the comments section below, and I will be back soon with another video review.